Welcome to SVG-TV's News and Sports for Tuesday, November 5th. I'm Khalil Kato, and here are tonight's details. After years of waiting, some 185 residents of Glee Hill in Barely received letters for their deeds from the government at a ceremony held on Monday at the Barely Learning Resource Center. Kristen John Dean has more in this report.
The 185 residents of Glee Hill moved one step closer in owning the lands they have been occupying for decades. The government yesterday presented to these residents letters for the deeds for the lands, which will cost them just 10 cents per square foot. At Monday's handing over ceremony, Area Representative Maxwell Charles expressed great appreciation to the residents for their patience over the years. He further noted that he was happy that the day had finally arrived where the residents could receive their letters.
I remember you asking for those letters that you need to get your deeds. Your questions are answered. The letters are here this afternoon. The deeds, as soon as you pay your, I was going to say 50 cents, but as soon as you pay your 10 cents, you're going to get your deeds soon after that.
Charles also saluted his predecessors, including Sir Louis Straker. He further stated that most persons did not believe the price the residents were going to pay for the lands, and it's a welcoming gesture.
Back to earlier in last month, when the Prime Minister walked around with me, they said, how come the Prime Minister would stay at my gate and shout to me and tell me the size of my land? And immediately after telling me the size of my land, he would tell me the price one time. I simply said, the Prime Minister is a good man, a good mathematician when it comes to multiplication by 10.
Meantime, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves described the day as one of great joy and called on the residents to give thanks.
We have to say to Almighty God today that we adore Him. We love Him. We have to say that we have sinned against you and our fellow men, and we ask for forgiveness. We have to live better with one another. We have to express our thanksgiving every day, every minute, every moment for our blessings. Because despite difficulties, we have abundant blessings in this country.
The government is said to be surveying more Crown lands around the country to give ownership to residents. Kristen John Dean reporting for SVG-TV News.
A housing and commercial development project is expected to be opened in Peters Hope soon. This was announced by Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves at yesterday's ceremony in Barely. Dr. Gonsalves said the project will be undertaken by the National Insurance Services and the Government Employees Cooperative Credit Union. He noted that the two organizations have 57 acres of land and that by the end of the year, the first phase of the project should commence.
And they have the resources to do it. Lower middle income and middle income people. Right there. And people will get work. A lot of people, trade men from here, got 57 acres of land. It's plenty land. I already give my blessing to the National Insurance Services as the Minister of Finance.
PM Gonsalves also announced plans for a big hotel in the Peters Hope area.
I'm in the process of doing some negotiations, and when I reach the stage to tell you, I will tell you where they are. Because I need more rooms for the international airport.
The interim committee of the Public Service Union is confident that the entire union body will come out victorious when the verdict is heard in the lawsuit brought by former President Koos Van Loo. Speaking to members of the media on Monday, Elroy Boucher, who is the interim committee head, says that they are all confident that when the matter passes through the court, the Public Service Union will be the winner.
Never in the history of the union has this ever happened, where the union is literally held at a ransom to ensure that one person be declared, well, you are still the president, basically, without an executive, but you're still the president. That is basically what it is saying. Okay, so it really is a sad day, and it's a sad train of events in the history of the Public Service Union. I'm confident that very soon the members would be able to access their benefits when this matter has been expired through the courts.
A young Guyanese national lost his life this morning in Canouan following a vehicular accident. According to reports reaching SVG-TV News, 34-year-old Kerry Ramatar had just left home in Canouan for his daily job as a construction worker when he reportedly fell off the truck he was traveling on. Reports are that he died on the spot in an area known as Bar Bruce. Meanwhile, here on mainland St. Vincent, a passenger van and a motorbike collided in the New Montrose area, leaving one person hospitalized. According to an eyewitness, the person who was hospitalized was thrown into a nearby gutter. The extent of his injuries at this time is, however, yet unknown. Vincentians are being encouraged to get involved in the series of public discussions on geothermal development for SVG. Speaking at a public meeting in Sandy Bay on Sunday afternoon, Director of Energy Ellsworth Dakin told the gathering that the origin of high electricity bills lies within the price of fuel. Dakin explains that the International Energy Agency, the IEA, predicts that fuel demands will continue to rise by until 2030 by 41%. According to Dakin, with predictions of increases in fuel prices for the next 15 years, it is inevitable that changes be made locally to help cushion this cost.
So we have to do something about it. We have to use our resources, we have to use what we have. Luckily for St. Vincent, we are blessed with the sun, we could obtain solar energy from. We are blessed with the rivers, we could obtain hydro from. And we are blessed with the volcano. And I say blessed with the volcano because many people don't look at the volcano as a blessing. But we are blessed with the volcano as such that we can get geothermal energy from. And we're here this afternoon really to see how we can harness this energy from the volcano. And that's why I've asked you this afternoon to partake in this discussion.
Effective commitments from governments in the region are needed for the successful implementation of the 2012-2020 Plan of Action for Agriculture. That's according to FAO Caribbean Sub-Region Coordinator J.R. Deepford, addressing yesterday's opening ceremony of the OECS FAO meeting on governance for agricultural development and food nutrition security at the NIS conference room.
That means we must increase our collaboration. We must have wider participation. We must honor our commitments. We must target clearly, and we must ensure that the support, the resources, financial and human, are in place. We must cooperate and integrate our efforts effectively. That is good governance through which we will succeed in building healthy, competitive, sustainable food and agricultural systems.
Meanwhile, ICA coordinator for the Caribbean region, Greg Rollin, says the lack of effective governance mechanisms can be considered another binding constraint, which has contributed to the slow progress made in transforming, modernizing, and repositioning the agricultural sectors in the region.
As a consequence, we need to urgently strengthen and improve the existing governance mechanisms so that these can address the fundamental issues such as participatory approaches through consultation for policy and strategy formulation, promote continuous dialogue and engagement of all relevant stakeholders, encourage consensus building towards a shared vision and ownership on the part of stakeholders, as well as address the fundamental issues of capacity deficit for implementation, the equitable distribution of benefits, and the development of multi-sectoral collaboration mechanisms across the region. We also need to focus on how we manage change, such that change in itself is a factor that contributes to development, and that we promote responsible and visionary leadership.
And Director of Economic Affairs at the OECS Secretariat, Randolph Cato, says agriculture is everybody's business, and as stakeholders, it is incumbent on everyone to play their part to address the challenges related to the implementation of the Regional Agricultural Action Plan for 2012-2020.
We have lost a lot of valuable time in trying to get our agriculture moving in a sustainable right direction. can't afford to lose any more time. It is to our detriment for that to happen, and so we must commit ourselves, not necessarily to words on paper, not necessarily to words spoken at the podium, not necessarily to the next workshop, but we must commit ourselves to ensuring when we say we're going to do something, we do it.
Meanwhile, here at home, Agricultural Minister Saboto Caesar, on a visit to the shipping depot at the Geest Shed, says his ministry is seeking to address an issue involving the number of boxes banana farmers receive on a weekly basis for the export of their products. Minister Caesar says the issue arose from a breakdown in communication between the farmers and their respective farming organizations, and that the ministry over the next 2 weeks or so will be seeking to regularize the operations so that all farmers can harvest their bananas on time. Caesar says he does not want a simple matter of the absence of boxes to reduce the exports and production of bananas here.
Farmers would have been with us in operations cutback, in operations plan back, and now it's reaping time. We have to ensure that all the mechanics are right and that everything is in place so that we can export the volumes, the increased volumes that we are targeting.
Meanwhile, Plant Quarantine Officer responsible for the exportation of agricultural produce, Augustus John, took the opportunity to explain the procedures involved with the exportation of goods to neighboring Barbados.
So they could do like the sorting out, the inspection, make sure they clean, dry, free from pests and diseases. And then after we have done that, we certify that they are okay to ship to Barbados. Then on the weekend basis, they will brought in this stuff to the main packing house, which is this packing house, where we inspectors will do the inspection, sorting, make sure the registration number match, the weight and everything, so that they could be exported to Barbados on a weekly basis.